guys, it's Miss Abby, and guess what? I have been learning about a new career, being a shepherd. Okay, so guess what? Shepherds wear really cool robes, and they have this headband that makes them look really cool. And then they wear these coverings on their head, and it serves a really cool purpose, like keeping the sun or the rain off of them. It like protects them from the weather. And then they have these really cool things called staffs. And yes, mine is less than working. It doesn't have the crook on the top that it's supposed to have, and it's kind of bent down here. But I'm going to save my money and get a better one when I become a real shepherd, after I learn everything I need to learn. Okay? So, guess what else? I couldn't just learn about the cool things that shepherds wear. I had to learn about the animals that shepherds take care of. And that is right. They take care of sheep. Now, I learned some cool things about sheep. And the first thing is that sheep were around during Jesus' time, and they were super important back then because their soft woolly fur was used to make clothes for the people, right? And I also learned that sheep are super cute, especially those little baby lambs. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. But because, sheep are super cute and super useful, but they also have some big problems. And their first big problem is that they are slow. Now, a sheep has a predator called a lion. And let me tell you, lions, they don't run slow. So when a lion attacks a sheep, there's no way for that sheep to defend themselves against that lion because they can't outrun the lion. Okay? And another big problem is that sheep are not very smart animals. If you leave them all by themselves, they'll just wander and wander and wander. They won't notice the cliff, and they'll just walk right over the cliff and they'll die. Or they'll wander and wander and wander, and they'll run into a river and they'll drown. They really don't know what's around them. They can't protect themselves because they're not smart enough to know they need protection. So a sheep needs a really good shepherd who's willing to protect them, right? So they are helpless animals and not very smart animals, but their shepherds love them. They truly love them, probably because they're super cute, right? So these shepherds, they love their sheep so much that they give them each a name. And I have sheep, and I gave them name too. Would you like to see my sheep? Here's my sheep. I have Dienye, and Rainy, and Artie, and Maddox, and James, and Jordan, and Beckett, and Oliver. And I have a Reese, and a James, and a Liam, and an Annie. And you know what? I have 12 sheep. And that is the rule number 1 for shepherds, is to know how many sheep you have. You have to count your sheep, and you have to count them all the time. You always have to know how many sheep you have. And how many do I have? 12. I have 12 sheep. I cannot forget that. I cannot forget my sheep. So now, as a good shepherd, I know that during the day, my sheep need to be led to the grass so they can eat. So, come on, sheep. Let's go. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Leading them to the grass. Boom, 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 boom. Leading them to the grass. And then at night, I need to lead my sheep back home. Come on, sheep, let's go back home. Boom, 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 boom. Here's my sheep coming home. And I led them into the barn, and I have to count them. Remember, it's super important to count your sheep. Let's count them. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Annie's missing! My number 12 is missing. I'm missing a sheep. Oh my goodness, I'm missing my sheep. Hold on. Sheep, you stay here at home in the safety of the home. And I am going to find my lost sheep. I'll be right back. Annie, little sheep, where are you? Little sheep, where are you? Annie. I found her. Come here, Annie. Oh, come on, sheep. I got you. Oh, look. I found Annie. Let's celebrate. Everyone dance with me. Yeah, we found Annie. She's home. Yeah, we celebrate because she's home. I lost my sheep, but she's found. Let's put her back with the rest of them. Here you go, Annie. She's safe at home tonight. I'm so glad she's home. Did you know? Thank you for celebrating with me. But guess what? This story of a shepherd is actually told by Jesus in the Bible as well. Jesus told a story about a really good shepherd. And in Jesus' story, Jesus is the good shepherd. And the sheep that follow him are people. And those people have names. They're not just these woolly animals, these soft, cute, woolly animals. They're sinners just like you and me. And they have names. And he knows all of our names. He knows that my name is Miss Abby. And he knows your name. And he knows every one of the sheep that follow him. He knows their name. Now remember, there was the shepherd in the story. Then there were the sheep that followed him, right? All these sheep followed Jesus. And then there was a sheep that got lost. And in Jesus' story, the sheep that gets lost is a sinner, just like you and I, right? We're all sinners. But this sinner hasn't chosen to follow Jesus yet, isn't trusting Jesus as her shepherd, or his or her shepherd, right? So that is a sinner that's not following Jesus, okay? But guess what? In this story, just like I did, and I ran after my lost sheep, Jesus counts as sheep. He knows how many people that he loves. He knows all of us, and he knows us by name, and he knows which ones are not following him. And Jesus goes and he searches for them, and he finds them. And guess what? In the story, when he finds a lost sinner, guess what? They celebrate. It says in Luke chapter 15, remember Luke's in the New Testament, that's right, good. And in Luke chapter 15 it says, there is joy in heaven over just one sinner who repents. So just like you danced with me when I found my lost sheep, Jesus and the angels and those in heaven are celebrating when a sinner repents and chooses to follow Jesus and be in the safety of Jesus. Because like you and me who have chosen to follow Jesus, or maybe you haven't yet, and maybe you're thinking about it, right? When we choose to follow Jesus, he leads us into safety. He keeps us away from dangers, just like I had to learn as a shepherd. I had to learn to keep my sheep from walking over the edge or falling into brambles or getting trapped somewhere, right? Jesus knows how to lead us, and if we follow him and we trust him, he's going to keep us from those harmful things as well, right? Jesus is our good shepherd, and it is his joy to take care of us and to search for those sinners that are not following him. It is a joy to him to search for them. And that leads us to our memory verse this week. And our memory verse is Luke chapter 19, verse 10. Here it is. It says, Jesus said, "For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." Luke 19:10. Now this is such a really amazing story. It says, for the Son of Man, that's what Jesus calls himself. It's like a nickname, right? It says, Jesus came, where did he come from? That's right, he came from heaven down to earth. Remember, he was born as a baby, he came to earth. And this purpose for coming was to seek, that means to look for, and to save, that means to like guide us to safety, right? To save the lost sinners, right? And when Jesus came, we're all lost, right? We all need Jesus. We were once lost, but now we're found, and we can rejoice in every one of us that have been found by Jesus. There was a celebration in heaven, and I want to celebrate with you guys if you have, and maybe you haven't before, but that's okay. And know that Jesus is searching for you, and he wants you to follow him, and he wants to call you by name. He knows your name, and he wants to call you by name and number you in the sheep that he brings safely home each and every night. So if you haven't accepted Jesus as your good shepherd, I want you to talk with your mom and dad, or have your mom and dad call me, and I would love to talk with you. But this week, I want you to work on this memory verse, okay? So I wrote it on a whiteboard, and I want you to either write it on a whiteboard at your house, or maybe on a piece of paper, but use a pencil, because I want you to say this verse every single day. Maybe at breakfast. We're all home for breakfast, lunch, and dinner right now, which is really cool. So maybe at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can read it to yourself, and every time you read it, I want you to erase one of the words, so that the next time you come to read it, there's a missing word, and you have to try to remember what that word was. And then the next time you come to eat, you say it, and you remember that missing word, and you erase another one, okay? And eventually, you'll have a bunch missing, and you'll be able to hopefully say your memory verse with all these missing ones. So Jesus said, let's see if I can fill it in. Jesus said, "For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." Luke 19:10. I really hope you guys will get a chance to memorize this verse this week. Send me a text or a Facebook message or something letting me know so I can celebrate with you when you do get this one mastered, okay? I love you all and miss you so much. I hope you're having a great week. See you next week.